Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. The Washington Commanders are facing yet another blow to their already bruised defensive front. On Tuesday morning, the team officially announced that defensive end Dorance Armstrong has been placed on injured reserve with a knee injury that will sideline him for the remainder of the 2025 season. This comes as a gut punch not only to the Commanders, but also to fans who have seen Armstrong emerge as one of the few bright spots in what has been a rocky start for the Dan Quinn era in Washington. Armstrong had been Washington's leading pass rusher through 7 games, racking up 5.5 sacks and 24 total tackles, consistently providing energy, discipline, and pressure off the edge. His presence was not just about stats. He was the tone setter, the emotional spark plug for that front seven. Losing him now, right before the crucial midseason stretch, feels like a punch to the gut for a team still trying to find its identity under a new coaching regime. This injury, according to head coach Dan Quinn, happened during Sunday's tough matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, Armstrong's former team. There's a cruel twist of fate in there. The man who spent the first 6 years of his career in Dallas, who had returned to face his old teammates with a chip on his shoulder, ends up suffering a season-ending injury in that very game. Before that, he'd already been battling through a hamstring issue from the previous week's Monday Night Football clash against the Chicago Bears, where he played despite not practicing all week. That kind of toughness defined Armstrong: gritty, reliable, and willing to go to war for his teammates. But football, as it always does, reminded us once again how unforgiving it can be. With Armstrong heading to injured reserve, the Commanders needed to fill a big hole in their defensive line rotation. To do that, they've re-signed defensive end Jalyn Holmes to the active 53-man roster. Holmes is a familiar face, having been with the team last season and recently released to make room for the return of offensive lineman Sam Cosmi from the reserve/PUP list. Holmes is no stranger to adversity himself, and while he's not known as a dominant pass rusher, his versatility and experience in the system make him a logical plug-and-play addition. But make no mistake, this move isn't about replacing Armstrong's production. That would be an unfair ask for any player coming off the bench. This move is about depth, survival, and holding the line until reinforcements return. It's been a rough year for Washington's defensive line. Armstrong's injury marks yet another key loss in a unit that has been consistently banged up since Week 1. Deatrich Wise Jr. was placed on IR earlier this season with a quad injury, and rookie Javonte Jean-Baptiste followed him there with a pectoral injury. Those absences have forced the Commanders to rely heavily on rotational players, with the coaching staff constantly tweaking lineups and snap counts to try to maintain some consistency. Dan Quinn, known throughout his career as a defensive mind who builds his teams around front seven pressure, now finds himself trying to construct a pass rush out of spare parts. The Commanders' defensive identity, one built around chaos, aggression, and constant movement, will now be tested like never before. For Armstrong, this is a particularly painful setback considering the path he's traveled to get here. Drafted in the 4th round of the 2018 NFL Draft out of Kansas, he entered the league with little fanfare, but quickly earned respect for his relentless motor. He played 6 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys, growing from a rotational piece into a dependable contributor, earning a 2-year extension with the team in 2022. When he hit free agency again in 2024, Washington came calling with a big offer, a 3-year deal worth up to $45 million. The Commanders believed Armstrong could be one of the foundational pieces of their rebuilt defense under Quinn, who had coached him during their time together in Dallas. That reunion seemed to be paying off early in the year. Armstrong looked comfortable in Quinn's scheme, often lining up wide and exploding off the edge with that trademark burst. His 5.5 sacks weren't just numbers. They represented momentum-shifting plays, drive killers, and leadership in action. Losing that is a tough pill to swallow for a defense already gasping for continuity. The emotional toll of this injury can't be ignored either. In a locker room already dealing with its share of setbacks, Armstrong's absence leaves a leadership vacuum. Players like Jonathan Allen and Jamin Davis will need to step up even more vocally, but Armstrong's presence, his energy during practices, his voice in film sessions, his swagger on the field, was contagious. These are the intangibles that don't show up in the stat sheet but often define the soul of a defense. And now, the Commanders have to find that spark somewhere else. It's moments like this when teams find out what they're really made of. Meanwhile, the offense isn't immune to the injury bug either. The Commanders are cautiously optimistic about the returns of wide receivers Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel, both of whom are expected to practice this week. McLaurin, dealing with a nagging quad injury, has missed the past 4 games, leaving a noticeable void in Washington's passing attack. Samuel, acquired this offseason to add a dose of explosiveness, missed his first game of the year last week while managing a heel issue that had limited him for 2 weeks prior. Head coach Dan Quinn told SiriusXM's Move-In the Chains that both are expected to have full weeks of practice, signaling a possible return for the upcoming Monday Night Football clash against the Kansas City Chiefs. If both receivers can get back on the field, it could provide a much-needed boost to a team still finding its offensive rhythm under rookie quarterback Jayden Daniels. Speaking of Daniels, the rookie sensation gave fans a scare on Sunday when he appeared to tweak his hamstring late in the game. Early reports, however, suggest the injury isn't serious or long-term. That's a massive relief for Commanders fans who have watched Daniels' electric playmaking ability breathe new life into the franchise. He's been dynamic both through the air and on the ground, showing poise beyond his years and giving Washington something it hasn't had in a long time: hope at the quarterback position. Still, given the nature of hamstring injuries and how easily they can linger, the team will likely err on the side of caution. If Daniels can't go against the Chiefs, backup Jacoby Brissett would likely get the nod, which would drastically alter the offensive game plan. Back to the defense. One of the lingering questions now is how Washington will adapt without its top pass rusher. Expect Quinn to get creative. We could see more blitz packages from linebackers, stunts up front to create confusion, and heavier use of hybrid looks featuring safeties coming down into the box. Jalen Holmes might not replicate Armstrong's production, but he's a solid run defender who can hold his gap and occasionally collapse the pocket. In combination with Allen and Darren Payne inside, Washington still has a formidable core. But make no mistake, the loss of Armstrong will likely impact how opposing offenses approach this unit. Without his consistent edge presence, quarterbacks might find more time in the pocket, and that could expose some of the weaknesses in Washington's secondary, which has been up and down all year. As we move deeper into the season, it's becoming clear that the Commanders are in survival mode. Every week seems to bring another injury report, another roster shuffle, another next man up speech from Quinn. The margin for error is thin, especially in an NFC East division that features powerhouses like the Eagles and Cowboys. And yet, if there's a silver lining to be found in all this adversity, it's that young players are getting opportunities to grow. Quinn's system demands accountability and effort. If nothing else, this stretch will reveal which players truly embody the culture he's trying to build in Washington. For Dorance Armstrong, the road to recovery begins now. At 28 years old, he's still in his prime, and given his work ethic and history of perseverance, there's little doubt he'll attack rehab with the same tenacity that made him a force on the field. He's been counted out before and always found a way back stronger. Washington fans can only hope that story repeats itself in 2026. For now, the Commanders march forward, bruised but not broken, leaning on each other and on the belief that the season isn't over yet. Football is a game of attrition, and while the losses hurt, on the scoreboard and on the injury list, it's also a game of resilience. The Commanders' resolve is about to be tested like never before. As for the fans, all they can do is hold their breath and believe. Believe that Dan Quinn's culture will hold. Believe that the team can rally behind its young quarterback. Believe that somewhere in the grind of practice and preparation, a new leader will emerge to fill Armstrong's void. It's a cliché, sure, but in football, clichés often become reality. The next man up mantra isn't just coach speak, it's survival. And for the Washington Commanders, survival is the only path forward. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. You can almost hear the rumble across the league, and honestly, if you're an NFL fan, this is the kind of gossip that makes your heart race. So, gather around, because things just got wild in the NFC East, and trust me, this is the kind of shakeup that nobody saw coming. The Philadelphia Eagles, yes, The very same team that's been teasing us with flashes of brilliance just got hit with a massive penalty, and suddenly, the Washington Commanders find themselves sliding into the top spot. I mean, can you even imagine? The Eagles, who were cruising with that swagger we all love, suddenly under scrutiny, and the league stepping in like a strict parent saying, "Not so fast, kids." You know the type. Everyone thought they had it in the bag, and now the narrative has flipped in an instant. It's exactly the kind of drama that keeps us glued to our screens, the kind of behind-the-scenes shake that we talk about in hushed tones at work, the kind that fuels endless debate on Reddit threads and sports bars alike. So let's break it down a little. The Eagles, they've been riding high, right? Everyone's eyes on them. The media coverage, the highlight reels, the Instagram clips showing those high-flying plays and precision passes. But then the NFL drops the hammer. The exact nature of the punishment is being whispered about, but sources say it's significant enough to impact the standings. This isn't a slap on the wrist. This is the kind of action that changes momentum, and momentum in football, as we all know, can be everything. The league doesn't just issue fines or minor infractions lightly, and when they do, it sends a ripple effect across locker rooms, training facilities, and fan bases. Eagles fans are probably biting their nails right now, questioning every game, every call, every replay. And then there's the Commanders, who until now have been the quiet story of the season, the undercurrent that nobody really paid attention to. Suddenly, they're in the spotlight, and let me tell you, that spotlight is blinding. Rumors are flying like confetti in a championship parade. Some insiders are suggesting that the penalty might involve roster management issues, maybe something administrative or procedural that didn't sit well with the league. Others are whispering about potential violations that could relate to in-game conduct or even off-field decisions that have now caught the attention of the powers that be. The details are murky, intentionally so, because if the NFL releases everything at once, it would be chaos. But the intrigue, the suspense, that's exactly what makes this story irresistible. Every commentator, every sports analyst, is now recalculating, analyzing how this penalty reshapes the playoff picture, who benefits, and who suddenly finds themselves scrambling. And at the center of it all, the Commanders, who now have the brass ring within reach, assuming the leadership position that many thought was untouchable for the Eagles. It's almost poetic in a way, the quiet team rising while the star-laden squad stumbles. Picture the locker rooms. In Washington, there's a mix of disbelief and elation. The Commanders' players, coaches, and staff are probably trying to process what just happened without letting the media see them bubble over with excitement. The kind of restrained joy that says, "We know we're in control now, but let's not jinx it." Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, there's likely tension, meetings behind closed doors, coaches pacing, and players questioning what comes next. The mental game is huge here. It's not just about who has the most touchdowns or who threw the best passes. It's about focus, discipline, and dealing with a sudden shift in power. If you ask me, the Commanders' morale just got to boost the size of a stadium, and the Eagles' focus has got to be laser-sharp to bounce back from this. Rumor has it that the locker room atmosphere in Philly is tense, but determined. They're not going to lie down and let this define their season, but the timing couldn't be worse. Fans are already having a field day online. Social media is buzzing with memes, hot takes, and wild speculation. Eagles fans are posting with frustration, some in denial, others in sheer disbelief, while Commanders fans are doing the opposite, celebrating like their team just won the Super Bowl, even though the season is far from over. It's the kind of story that transcends mere standings. It's about pride, identity, and the intangible momentum that only the NFL can deliver. Commentators are spinning theories, some suggesting that the penalty could ultimately reshape the entire NFC playoff scenario, not just the East Division. If that's true, we're talking ripple effects that could influence draft strategies, trades, and even coaching decisions for years to come. The beauty of this rumor mill is that it keeps evolving. Every hour brings a new angle, a new insider tidbit, a fresh speculation that forces fans and analysts alike to question everything they thought they knew about the season. And let's not forget the human element here. Players are people first, athletes second. Imagine being a key player on the Eagles, hearing about a league sanction that impacts your team's standing, your playoff hopes, your legacy. It's a lot to process. Meanwhile, Commanders players are likely feeling a mix of vindication and pressure. Leadership isn't just about sitting at the top of the division. It's about handling the scrutiny that comes with being the team everyone now watches closely. Every pass, every run, every play is under the microscope. The narrative has shifted, and in the NFL, narrative is king. The media loves a story like this: the underdog rising, the favorite faltering, the scandalous whispers of league discipline. It's everything that makes football more than just a game. It's theater, it's drama, it's the storylines we live for. Now, take a moment to visualize the next few weeks. The Eagles, fighting not just for wins but for redemption, each game a chance to prove they belong at the top despite the penalty. The Commanders, riding high, suddenly with the weight of leadership on their shoulders, every opponent gunning to knock them off that throne. Analysts are already projecting wild swings in the standings, teams shifting positions almost by the hour, and fans glued to every game, every play, every referee call, hoping to see how this drama unfolds. And the rumors keep flying, suggesting there could be more surprises down the line. Perhaps the penalty is only the tip of the iceberg, and insiders hint at further league investigations that could extend the ripple effect across multiple franchises. The suspense is palpable, almost electric, like the calm before a hurricane that nobody wants to miss. At the end of the day, this is exactly why we love the NFL. It's unpredictable, messy, thrilling, and full of human stories that feel bigger than the field itself. One day you're cruising at the top, untouchable, and the next, league penalties drop, narratives shift, and suddenly, the underdog finds themselves in the limelight. Eagles fans are holding their breath, Commanders fans are dancing in the streets, and the rest of us are just here, popcorn in hand, eyes glued to the screens, wondering what's next. Will the Eagles bounce back and reclaim their spot, or are the Commanders set for a dominant run that nobody saw coming? The whispers, the rumors, the speculation, they're all part of the magic. And if you ask me, this story is just getting started. The NFC East has never been this exciting, and honestly, the league owes us all a front-row seat to what promises to be one of the most talked-about turnarounds in recent NFL history. Hold on tight, because the drama is real, the stakes are high, and the next chapter? Well, we'll all be watching, tweeting, and debating it like our lives depend on it. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.